Good morning, everyone. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to the Sankirtan mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Before we begin class, I wanted to discuss a couple of points that I think are relevant to what we're doing as an association of disciples of Prabhupada. In the material world, there is a tendency amongst people, especially in the Kali Yuga, to lie. It's in modern day media, they constantly change things. They mislead people. In fact, now the term for the media is fake media. So in the same way, we know that there's been a big misconception been perpetrated by the GBC and perpetrated by other people who had personal motives after Prabhupada's demise. There's a misconception, and they broadcast that over and over again to brainwash people. So what's happened is this so-called, and I saw Ananda Baya today, she's putting up quite a few interesting quotes on the Prabhupada Disciples chat line. And I was thinking, this, of all the things that have disturbed the society, has been this perpetration of the fake guru. In other words, the whole guru system that the ISKCON movement introduced was fabricated by a few ambitious people. That's how it came about. And myself and Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu were privy to the actual experience of it. It wasn't something that we're making up, but we have an entire experience with these people back in 1977, 78, when Prabhupada left the planet. And subsequently, moving forward, they've just continued to present this fake philosophy. It is misrepresented for personal reasons by these people. And now it has become a chaotic situation in the society of devotees. And this is very, very unfortunate because this type of brainwashing, that's what it is. When you introduce a concept that's not true, and then you continually perpetrate it to others to convince them to do it, becomes a form of brainwashing. And, in this particular situation, both myself, over the period of my history, and Yaśodā were both threatened with death, that we would be killed because we were perpetrating a truth that the people in our God brothers, some of them didn't want to hear. This is not a Vaishnava way of dealing with things. So we should realize that we're when we speak out about these matters and present them to the public, it's because this is critical to protecting Prabhupada's legacy. But Prabhupada has a legacy of truth and opportunity for everyone to go back to Godhead. And with the introduction of these different systems by an ambitious group of God brothers for name, fame, and fortune, or as Yaśodā commonly refers to it as the 3 Ps, profit, adoration, and distinction, or PAD, P-A-D. So this is an unfortunate situation that we find ourselves in. And, we understand that there are two things that have split the society. One was the introduction and expansion of the illicit guru system, which is called fake guru, just like you have fake media. So you have the fake guru system. And then the second thing is the changing of the books. Very serious. Prabhupada said, if you change the books, it's like changing the law books. They lose their validity. Now, somehow or other, there's been a rationalization by a group of people to say that this is okay. But we are diametrically opposed to their statements. So the guru system, the fake guru system, and the changing of the books, these are the two issues that we're dealing with moving forward in our presentation of Krishna consciousness to the world. This is a critical part of our mission. We have a large agenda, by the way, for all of you who are attending here today live. We have an extensive agenda that we're dealing with in our media team, beyond just not just the classes, not to minimize them, but beyond these classes, many programs we're creating in order to help protect Prabhupada's legacy in his Vani incarnation. So thank you, everyone, for being a part of this mission of Lord Chaitanya. We really appreciate it. With the support of many people, and it's gradually increasing. We're close to 2,000 members online at the Prabhupada Disciples Association. It's progressing quite quickly, almost 800 to 1,000 people a month. So soon we'll have, thousands of people that will be listening to our message and giving people an alternative to other opportunities, so-called opportunities for spiritual emancipation that are being distributed through other groups. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. We're going to move forward with the Jayarada Madhava prayers, and then we'll have the Bhagavad-gītā class, then our discussion, and at the end we're going to have a Prabhupada memories reading for your transcendental pleasure. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Sai. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami
Hare Krishna.
Prabhupāda Jai.
Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahaguna Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahaguna Lalita Shri Vishakanvitam Shcham E Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshware Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namah Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. We will be reading from Bhagavad-gītā As It Is, Chapter 7, text number 16. We are reading from the non-edited, non-adulterated 1972 Macmillan Collier edition. All synonyms, translations, and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda, Founder-Ācārya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, also known as the Krishna Consciousness Movement, page 386. Chaturvida bhajante mam janaha sukriti nurjuna arto jignasuratartarti jnani cha bharatarishabha. Chaturvida, 4 kinds of bhajante, render service, mam, unto me, janaha, persons, sukritina, those who are pious, arjuna, O Arjuna, artaha, the distressed, jignasuhu, the inquisitive, arta arti, one who desires material gain, jnani, one who knows things as they are, cha, also, bharata rishabha, O great one amongst the descendants of Bharata. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. O best among the Bharatas, Arjuna, 4 kinds of pious men render devotional service unto me, the distressed, the desirer of wealth, the inquisitive, in whom he is searching for knowledge of the Absolute. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Unlike the miscreants, there are adherents of the regular principles of the scriptures, and they are called sukritina, or those who obey the rules and regulations of scriptures. the moral and social laws, and are more or less devoted to the Supreme Lord. Out of these, there are 4 classes of men: those who are sometimes distressed, those who are in need of money, those who are sometimes inquisitive, and those who are sometimes searching after knowledge of the absolute truth. These persons come to the Supreme Lord for devotional service under different conditions. These are not pure devotees because they have some aspiration to fulfill in exchange for devotional service. Pure devotional service is without aspiration and without desire for material profit. The Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu defines pure devotion thus: Anya bilashita shunyam jnana karma dhyanavritam anukulyena Krishna anushilanam bhaktiruttamam. One should render transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord Krishna favorably and without desire for material profit or gain through fruitive activities or philosophical speculation. That is called pure devotional service. When these 4 kinds of persons come to the Supreme Lord for devotional service and are completely purified by the association of a pure devotee, they also become pure devotees. As far as the miscreants are concerned, for them, devotional service is very difficult because their lives are selfish, irregular, and without spiritual goals. But even some of them, by chance, when they come in contact with a pure devotee, also become pure devotees. Those who are always busy with fruitive activities come to the Lord in material distress, and at that time associates with pure devotees and become in their distress devotees of the Lord. Those who are simply frustrated also come sometimes to associate with the pure devotees and become inquisitive to know about God. Similarly, when the dry philosophers are frustrated in every field of knowledge, they sometimes want to learn of God, and they come to the Supreme Lord to render devotional service and thus transcend knowledge of the impersonal Brahman and the localized Paramatma and come to the personal conception of Godhead by the grace of the Supreme Lord or his pure devotee. On the whole, when the distressed, the inquisitive, the seekers of knowledge, and those who are in need of money are free from all material desires, and when they fully understand that material remuneration has nothing to do with spiritual improvement, they become pure devotees. As long as such a purified stage is not attained, devotees in transcendental service to the Lord are tainted with fruitive activities, and they search after mundane knowledge, etc. So one has to transcend all this before one can come to the stage of pure devotional service. Text 17. Tesham jnani nitya yukta eka bhaktir vishishyate priyo hi jnanino atyartam aham sa chamapriyaha tesham jnani nitya yukta eka bhaktir vishishyate priyo hi jnanino atyartam aham sacha mama priyaha tesham. Out of them, jnani, one in full knowledge, nitya yuktaha, always engaged, eka, only one, bhakti, devotional service, vishishyate, especially, priyaha, very dear, he, certainly, jnanina, person in knowledge. Atyartam, highly. Aham, I am. Sa, he. Cha, also. Mama, mine. Priyaha, dear. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Of these, the wise one who is in full knowledge, in union with me, through pure devotional service is the best. For I am very dear to him, and he is dear to me. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Free from the contaminations of material desires, the distressed, the inquisitive, the penniless, and the seeker after supreme knowledge can all become pure devotees. But out of them, he who is in knowledge of the absolute truth and free from all material desires becomes a really pure devotee of the Lord. And of the four orders, the devotee who is in full knowledge and is at the same time engaged in devotional service is, the Lord says, the best. By searching after knowledge, one realizes that his self is different from his material body. And when further advanced, he comes to the knowledge of impersonal Brahman and Paramatma. When one is fully purified, he realizes that his constitutional position is to be the eternal servant of God. So by association with pure devotees, the inquisitive, the distressed, the seeker after material amelioration, and the man in knowledge all become themselves pure. But in the preparatory stage, the man who is in full knowledge of the Supreme Lord and is at the same time executing devotional service is very dear to the Lord. He who is situated in pure knowledge of the transcendence of the Supreme Personality of God is so protected in devotional service that material contaminations cannot touch him. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances. We offer our respectful obeisances unto our spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, who has opened my eyes, who has opened our eyes from the darkness of ignorance with the torchlight of transcendental knowledge. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarine Bhakti Siddhanta Shishyaya Bhaktivedanta Namine Prasannaya Prashantaya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Bhagavad-vandanam Kadyam Guru Vandana Purvakam Kshiram Sharkara Yuktam Kadatihi Visheshataham Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Sri Rup Sanatana Bhattara Gunatam Sri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunatam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So here in these two verses, we see that Lord Krishna is now describing four kinds of pious men. We saw in text number 15, four kinds of dushkritina. Prabhupada describes at the end of text number 15, says, therefore, grossly foolish persons, 2, the lowest of mankind, 3, the deluded speculators, And for the professed atheists, as above mentioned, never surrender unto the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead, in spite of all scriptural and authoritative advice. So now we also see that Srila Prabhupada in this purport is also describing in text number 17, so by association with pure devotees, the inquisitive, the distressed, the seeker after material amelioration, and the man in knowledge all become themselves pure. So this is very important because we see that so many people are seeking after spiritual life, after some answers to the fundamental questions of life. And here Srila Prabhupada in text number 16 in the third paragraph, he says, as far as the miscreants are concerned, for them, devotional service is very difficult because their lives are selfish, irregular, and without spiritual goals. But even some of them, by chance, when they come in contact with a pure devotee, also become pure devotees. So this is a very, very important point, how to come in contact with a pure devotee. We've often discussed how previously in India, the system was that the guru or spiritual teacher or spiritual professor would be in a village and the students would come and approach him requesting spiritual knowledge, requesting spiritual enlightenment. And in this age, the same regulation is there. Tad vinyanartam, tad gurumeva abhigachet, samit panihi shrutriyam brahmanistam. This is from the Katha Upanishad. In order to receive spiritual knowledge, one should approach a bona fide acharya. But this is no longer the Vedic times. This is the modern times with modern telecommunications, modern communications, and everything. So it is the good fortune of people in this age that Srila Prabhupada has come and he has approached everyone to take shelter of the Guru. Rather than the disciple approaching the Guru, the Jagat Guru, the Sadguru, the universal teacher, is approaching everyone. He traveled all around the world, established the Krishna Consciousness movement, and gave his greatest treasure, his greatest gift, his transcendental books. Every day, Srila Prabhupada is approaching countless candidates for spiritual enlightenment, requesting them through his teaching, through his mercy, through his brilliant explanations of Bhagavad-gītā, Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, the general Vedic literatures, and request them to surrender to God, surrender to Krishna. So we see in Bhagavad-gītā, Krishna is requesting to come to me, surrender to me, sarva dharman parityaja, give up everything, surrender to me. And Krishna says, somebody may say, well, if I surrender, what will happen to me? What will be the benefit? Because in the material world, everyone is inquiring, what will be the benefit of what I'm doing? Just like if you go to an employer and you apply for a job, you want to know how much they will pay. What will be the benefits? So the natural question comes, what will be the benefit? But Krishna says, Ma suchaha, don't worry. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma suchaha. That all of your problems, all of your bad karma, all your sinful activities, that I will deliver you, I will protect you. Masuchaha means don't worry, don't be concerned. And here Krishna in these texts is giving these kind of persons who are fit, who are good candidates to surrender, to search after the absolute truth. Prabhupada in this text, in text number 16, is very nicely describing what is the process of pure devotional service. Srila Prabhupada says, pure devotional service is without aspiration and without desire for material profit. The Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu defines pure devotion thus: Anya bilashita shunyam jnana karmadhyanavritam anukulyena Krishna nushilanam bhaktiruttama. One should render transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord Krishna favorably and without desire for material profit or gain through fruitive activities or philosophical speculation. That is called pure devotional service. Now, this is a very important point because we often see that some individuals take up to the process of devotional service, but some way or other they get misled. They fall away from the path. Prabhupada explains in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 19, text 152. Madhya Lila 19, 152. Prabhupada explained, those with a background of pious life are eligible to receive life's supreme benefit, and to bestow this benefit, the Supreme Personality of Godhead sends his representative to impart his mercy. Endowed with the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the spiritual master distributes the mercy to those who are elevated and pious. Thus, the spiritual master trains his disciples to render devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is called Guru Kripa. It is Krishna Prasada, Krishna's mercy, that he sends a bona fide spiritual master to the deserving disciple. By the mercy of Krishna, one meets the bona fide spiritual master, and by the mercy of the spiritual master, the disciple is fully trained in the devotional service of the Lord. Bhaktilata Bij means the seed of devotional service. Everything as an original cause or seed. For any idea, program, plan, or device, there is first of all the contemplation of the plan, that is called bija, or the seed. The methods, rules, and regulations by which one is perfectly trained in devotional service constitutes the Bhaktilata Bij, or seed of devotional service. This Bhaktilata Bij is received from the spiritual master by the grace of Krishna. Other seeds are called Anyabilasita Bij, Karma Bij, and Jnana Bij. If one is not fortunate enough to receive the Bhaktilata Bij from the spiritual master, he instead cultivates the seeds of Karma Bij, Jnana Bij, or political and social or philanthropic Bij. However, Bhaktilata Bij is different from these other Bijas. Bhaktilata Bij can be received only through the mercy of the spiritual master. So Prabhupada goes on describing pure devotional service. It's important to note that if one is situated on the path of bhakti, on the path of pure devotion, there's no room for mental speculation, fruitive activities. One has to understand the proper mentality of devotional service. There's a certain mindset in order to progress in devotional service. We see in the writings of Bhaktivedanta Thakur, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, or Srila Prabhupada, there are so many instructions of how to think properly, how to cleanse the heart, how to devote oneself to the personality of Godhead, and the proper process for doing so. And there's also plenty of warnings of what not to do. There are vidhi, or the instructions of what to do, And there is the instruction of what not to do. Because we see that many devotees will say, well, did Prabhupada, many times some devotees will inquire, did Srila Prabhupada give any warnings for so many things that we have seen? Historically speaking, especially since the manifested disappearance of Srila Prabhupada, there are so many different issues that have come up for devotees to study, for devotees to evaluate and consider. And at this point, what is pure devotional service? Because not everything that is going on is pure devotional service. We see sometimes devotees becoming misled by fruitive activities, the pursuit of money, pursuit of so many things. I want to read something from another part of Chaitanya Charitamrita. Here in Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhupada describes the example of Krishna Das Kaviraj and his amazing humility. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 1, Text 27, 7, 127. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adit 5, 205, Krishna Das Kaviraj also thinks of himself in such a humble way. Jagai madai oite muise papista, purishe rakita oite muise se lagista. I am a worse sinner than Jagai and Madai, and even lower than the worms in the stool. A pure devotee always thinks himself more deficient than everyone else. If a devotee approaches Srimati Radharani to offer some service to Krishna, even Srimati Radharani thinks that the devotee is greater than she. Thus, Narada Muni also says that according to his opinion, the enemies of Krishna are better situated because they are fully absorbed in terms of Krishna, in terms of killing him, in thoughts of Krishna. Just as a very lusty man always thinks of women and their association. Next, we're going to read another explanation. This is from Adi Lila of Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chapter 5, Text 205. Adi Lila, Chapter 5, Text 205. Jagai madai oi muise papista, purisher kitoete muise se lagista. I am more sinful than Jagai and Madai, and even lower than the worms in the stool. Next, we see Krishna Das Kaviraj continues. Moranam shune yetar punyakshay, moranam lois yetar papahoy. Anyone who hears my name loses the results of his pious activities. Anyone who utters my names becomes sinful. Next, Iman nirgirina mora keba kripakare, eko nityananda vinu jagat vitore. Who in this world but Nityananda could show his mercy to such an abominable person as me? This is the last text is from Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila 5207. Now we see this amazing humility from one of the highest devotees in our Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, Krishna Das Kaviraj. He's the most exalted devotee, and yet he thinks he's the lowest. And we often see some neophytes posing as very advanced who exhibit the opposite attitude. Where is my puja? Where is my money? Where is this? Where is that? Why devotees are not recognizing my greatness? This is all foolish mentality. The mentality we should adopt is the exemplary mentality that has been given by all these great Acharya and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We see in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto number 4, Chapter 29, Text 46. Canto 4, Chapter 29, Text 46. Prabhupada describes when one is engaged in devotional service, is no longer attracted to material activities. When a man is covered by different designations, he cannot engage in devotional service. One has to become freed from such designated activities. Sarvopadi vinirmuktam, Madhya Lila 19:170, and become pure in order to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead through purified senses. Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhaktiruchyate. The service of the Lord through purified senses is called Bhakti Yoga, or devotional service. The sincere devotee is always helped by the super soul, who resides within the heart of every living entity, as Lord Krishna confirms in Bhagavad-gītā, chapter 10, text 10. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam dadami buddhi yogantam yenamam te. To those who are constantly devoted and worship me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. This is the stage of becoming free from the contamination of the material world. At such a time, a devotee makes friends with another devotee, and his engagement in material activities ceases completely. At that time, he attains the favor of the Lord and loses his fate in material civilization, which begins with Varnashram Dharma. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu speaks clearly of one's becoming liberated with Varnashram Dharma, from the Varnashram Dharma, the most exalted system of human civilization. At such a time, one feels himself to be perpetually the servant of Lord Krishna, a position taken by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. Naham vipro na chanarapatir na piveshu na shudru. Naham varni na chagriyapatir na vanastu yatirava. Kintu prodyan nikila paramananda purnamritabder. Gopi Bhartuhu Padakamalaya Dasa Dasa Nudasaha. This is from Padyavali, text 63. I'm not a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Shudra. I'm not a Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, or Sannyasi. What am I? I'm the eternal servant of the servant of the servant of Lord Krishna. Through the disciplined succession, one can attain this conclusion, which is perfect elevation to the transcendental platform. Again, the foregoing was from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 29, Text 46. Now, this is quite important because we see it's very important to understand the proper path and the proper activities of pure devotional service. So one that would not be misled by false propaganda and misleading individuals. Hare Krishna. Vishwakarma Prabhu, you have a comment?
Thank you very much, Yaśodā, for that enlightening discussion on these verses. I wanted to refer back to text 17 of the Bhagavad-gītā in the purport, where Prabhupada specifically qualifies the devotee in particular way. He goes in the purport, just down the second sentence. But out of them, he who is in knowledge of the absolute truth and free from all material desires becomes a really pure devotee of the Lord. So this is a qualification for making advancement, that one has to give up any sense of identity with the material world And in the material world, we're covered by false ego. And we think that we're very important as individuals. But in fact, in the scope of things, we're insignificant. We're very insignificant. And this body is simply a troublesome place for us. Recently, a godbrother in Vrindavan, Dhritarashtra, Dhrit, passed away this week. And I was communicating with him for the last year or so on the Facebook chat. And became a friend from a distance. And it was quite sobering to see his remains being put in the fire at the Jamuna River this week. They built a funeral pyre for him, and it was quite sobering, because all of us are moving in that direction, that this material body is a place of ignorance. And we're incarcerated in this body because of our independent desire to lord it over the material world. So time and tide wait for no man. This journey will end very soon, but it is very important to make the best use of our time to develop our Krishna consciousness while we have the opportunity as devotees to do so. This time factor is the critical part of our daily regimen, how we engage ourselves in the use of our time, because this is an opportunity for us to really make advancement in spiritual life by carefully applying ourselves. Because we have to qualify ourselves. Just like, for example, if you want to get a job, you have to be qualified for that. You can't just go into the, let's say in the car industry, you can't just go and get a job at BMW. There are hundreds and hundreds of people trying to get a job at BMW. So you have to go in and qualify yourself to get the job. And then after you get the job, then you have to continue to perform in order to maintain your job. So they're very, very particular. So like that, we have to be qualified to make advancement. And the qualifications are given here by Krishna. Now I want to ask our moderator to take us to chapter 5 of the Srimad Bhagavatam, text 16.
Which
chapter?
canto?
First canto. Thank you. Chapter 5, text 16. We'll go right to the verse. The Supreme Lord is unlimited. Only a very expert personality deserves to understand this transcendental knowledge in spiritual values, and that also being retired from the activities of material happiness. So here, qualifying a person in this way: retired from the activities of material happiness. Therefore, those who are not so well placed on account of being attached with material qualities may be shown the way of transcendental realization by your goodness, by describing the transcendental activities of the Supreme Lord. So you have to elevate yourself through a purificatory process: hearing, chanting, remembering. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. We'll read a bit into it. Excuse me. Theological science is a difficult subject, and specifically when it is dealt with the transcendental nature of God. It is not a subject matter to be understood by persons who are too much attached with material activities. So qualifying, you're being qualified. Only the very expert personalities who have almost retired from material activities and by culture of knowledge and spiritual values can be admitted in the study of this great science. In Bhagavad-gītā, it is clearly stated that out of many hundreds of thousands of men, only a person deserves to be entered into the matter of transcendental realization. And out of many thousands of such transcendentally realized persons, only a few can understand the theological science specifically dealing in God as person. Sri Vyasadeva is therefore advised by Narada to describe the science of God by his transcendental activities directly. Vyasadeva is himself a personally expert in this science, and he is unattached with material enjoyment of life. Therefore, he is the right person to describe it, and Shukadeva Goswami, the son of Vyasadeva, is the right person to receive it. Srimad Bhagavatam is the topmost theological science, and therefore it can react on the layman also as medicinal doses for the highest recipient. As it contains the transcendental activities of the Lord, there is no difference between the Lord and the literature. So here we're getting an understanding of how to make advancement out of the clutches of the material world through association with the pure devotee of the Lord, and by careful association. There must be a qualified speaker and a qualified listener. Unless people are serious about making advancement in spiritual life, it'll be very difficult for them to understand this science. So there are qualifications for making advancement in Krishna consciousness. It's not by whim. It's not by mental speculation. This is a science. The word science, in Latin, it's called scio, to know. Well, how can you know about Krishna consciousness when it's so difficult to become elevated transcendentally? You can do it by strict discipline. It is through discipline. So this is the responsibility of each individual devotee of Krishna, to take up the process seriously. And through that, Krishna will reveal to you who you are, why you were born, and what is going to happen to you at the time of death, which is coming before us in due course of time. Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, could you further comment?
Yes, I wanted to read from a lecture that Prabhupada gave. This is in, trying to locate it again here. This is in New York, USA, on August 3rd, 1966, a Bhagavad-gītā class on chapter 4, text 419, where Prabhupada explains various points about pious and impious activities. Prabhupada says, it was a guest asking a question. If you're rich, were you saying if you're rich, you get knowledge easier because you're rich? Prabhupada, no. I said that by your pious work, you get 4 results. by your pious work, because every work we have, we are just today discussing what is real work and what are the reaction of the work and what is not. I mean to say prescribed work. These things as are we have discussed. Now, so far, the pious work, which is called in Sanskrit language, which is called punya karma. We get 4 results, 4 kinds of results. By pious work, we get very good birth. Good birth means to take one's birth in aristocratic family or enriched family. That is materially concerned, very good birth. So by pious work, one can become a good birth. One can get his birth in a good family. And he can become a rich man also. Just like in this world, we see somebody is working very little, but he's gaining much. And everybody is working very hard the whole day, still he's not getting much. Why? Because due to his pious work, he's getting very easily riches. So richness is also a result of pious work. And similarly, one student is becoming very quickly a scholar, another he cannot. So this is also a result of pious work. Similarly, beauty is also due to pious work. I discussed this point, and what was your point? Guess. Do you get more wisdom quicker, or it's more to come if you have a lot of money? Prabhupada, not necessarily. I don't say that. That is different thing, but richness is due. Yes, I understood what you said before, Prabhupada. Yes, not necessarily. That because a man is very rich, therefore he's got a very good brain also. No, not necessarily. Not a good brain can produce richness. Even there is one man, he is a very intelligent man, but in the field of activities, he remains a poor man. So neither intelligence is the cause of richness, nor richness is the cause of intelligence. These are 2 different things. But if one is pious, then as a reaction of his pious acts, he becomes rich, he becomes wealthy, he becomes beautiful, he becomes learned. These things are stated in the scriptures. Janmeshvarya Shruta Sribihi, Srimad Bhagavatam 1:826. Janmeshvarya, 4 things. Janma Eshvarya Shruta. Janma means birth, Eshvarya means richness, and Shruta means education. Is that point clear? Drunk begins yelling in background. Is that point clear? Please hear. Stop, don't talk. We are talking seriously. Don't disturb. Is that point clear? Yes, yes. Prabhupada, any other questions? Young women, if one is really pious, why should he care about materialistic things such as beauty and wealth? Prabhupada, if one is pious, why he should? Young women, why he should care about things like beauty and wealth? Prabhupada, so war is not always impious. Do you understand? Sometimes war fighting. So far, the Vedic conception of life is concerned, there are 4 classes. 4 classes, the intelligent class, the administrative class, the mercantile class. Not only Vedic religion. This division is all over the world. There are 4 classes of men. So far, administrative class of man, it is a duty to protect the weak. Sometimes law and order required violence, just like the government maintains military, police force, because sometimes they are required. So when government employs some police force, some military force, that does not mean impious. That is required. Similarly, fighting or violence is not always impious. But a responsible person, he does not take violence unnecessarily. He considers things very nicely. And when there is no other alternative than to use violence, then he uses violence. Just like the government sometimes takes violence upon the citizens. It is not the objective of the government. Again, the foregoing from a Bhagavad-gītā class in New York on August 3rd, 1966. And Srila Prabhupada is making many important points here. It's important to understand because sometimes people have the misconception, if I pray to God, I'll get good material benefits. But the idea of praying to God is just like we heard from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Gopi Bhartuhu Parakamalayor Dasa Dasa Nudasa. We had experienced one time of a conversation with Srila Prabhupada where there was some complaint or some discussion about another devotee. And Prabhupada remarked that the mentality to be always number one, that is not Vaishnava mentality. Prabhupada said Vaishnava means, and he quoted that verse from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Gopi Bhartuhu Padakamalayur Dasa Dasa Nudasa, means simply to become the servant of the servant of the servant of Lord Krishna. That is the mentality. That is the mentality we should strive for. Any questions or remarks or comments?
Yes, thank you very much, Yaśodā. I wanted to call upon our god brother, Janas Priya. Janas Priya Prabhu has been a devotee for, I think, about 45 years. And he's currently residing in Hawaii, USA. And I wanted to call upon him to make a comment, if he could, this morning at our Bhagavad-gītā class. Janas Priya Prabhu, can you speak on your microphone?
Hare Krishna, can you hear me?
Perfect. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for attending the class today.
Actually, I've been attending, but I've been attending on YouTube.
Thank you very much.
Very nice. I like the whole presentation, and I like all the comments. And we're so fortunate that we have the Association of Yasoda Prabhu and other devotees. And I'm just happy to be here.
How do you see us qualifying in our devotional service to become more aware of our relationship with our Guru and with Krishna?
Well, we just have to follow what Prabhupada said. It's very simple. You know, people, I saw this cartoon, and there's a guy is praying to this, looking up at the sky and say, God, give me a sign. And out of the cloud comes a hand with a Bhagavad-gītā. So people, it's simple. Prabhupada said, just read my books. Everything is there. The original books, of course. And if you simply follow my simple instructions, then you go back home, back to Godhead in this lifetime. So the goal is to somehow surrender to Krishna. And I came to the realization that the most important thing for me personally is to meditate on Prabhupada's lotus feet intensely, as much as I can. And that gives me the peace within me, because there's so many things going on here and there and whatever. But way back in 1976, I was at the San Diego Temple, and I used to go and chant my japa on this hanging bridge, Laurel Canyon, half a block from the temple. And I was chanting japa, and it came to my mind that I don't care what happens in this society, as long as Prabhupada is my guru, Maha Mantra is my prayer, and Bhagavad-gītā is my book, I'll be okay. So when the Guru Sonal-Acharya thing came, I wasn't really affected. I just saw it as rascaldom, This guy had a whack. So I carry on with my devotional service, and like I still do. So I think being Prabhupada center is the most important thing for me and for anybody that wants to make progress in Krishna consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, I wanted to just have you recall when you first started chanting japa, how you used to, how many rounds did you originally
Oh,
start?
yeah. When I started chanting japa, the devotee cheated me. Vancouver Temple,
The
1971.
devotee cheated you. How did he
Yes.
cheat you?
He told me one round was one way around the beats and back. That was one round.
So one round was 2 rounds.
Yes. So I started chanting and I couldn't figure out. Everybody else had finished their rounds. And I always still had a bunch of rounds left. So one day this devotee says, "You're chanting 32 rounds, Prabhu." So by this time it was like 6 months after I joined, and I figured if I could carry on and chant 32 rounds, why not? So I did that for a couple of years. And when I went for second initiation, the Srila Prabhupada said, "You chant 16 rounds." I very proudly thought, oh, I'm going to tell him I chant 32 rounds. So he's going to say, "Oh, you're so great." So I said, "No, Srila Prabhupada, I chant 32 rounds." And Prabhupada didn't even look at me and say anything. But that saved me from temple presidents trying to deprogram me to 16 rounds to get more service out of me. I said, well, I told Srila Prabhupada, and he didn't say, "Oh, just chant 16 and do more service." Because we know that chanting the holy name is the highest service. Ultimately, everything we're doing is so one day we could come to the point where we could sit down and chant 16 or 32 or 64 rounds in one sitting. When we're doing that, we know we have some hope.
Yes, excellent. Thank you very much. Anandabaya, she has a question.
Yes, I do, but it's not particularly in line with what we read today, because the two of you ping-ponged off of each other so much that you answered any possible question that you could have about, today's verse.
Thank you.
Good job. But I do have a question on something I read in Nectar of Devotion. Is that all right?
Please, absolutely. Yashoda's
Okay.
can answer for sure.
Okay, I'm
Go
going to
ahead.
talk to the
The
experts
question
here.
for me.
By the
Could you
way,
maybe rephrase the question for me?
Yes.
yeah, we'll get it. Anandabaya, I did like all the posts you made this morning. It prompted me to discuss those early introductory comments that I made, which I think are important for everyone to understand. Please go ahead with your question.
Thank you, Prabhu. Okay, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, the question is, when Prabhupada is describing the things we are not supposed to do, one of the things we're not supposed to do is wear the color red or the color blue in front of the deities. So it's kind of put me in a headspin, because now I have to rearrange all of my clothes. I mean, is this, what have you got to say about this?
Well, in India, the custom is that this bluish color is some kind of an indigo type color that some coolies or some workers who work in the field and other people wear. And then the red color is also a similar color. Now, I've seen in different temples in Vrindavan and other places, they use the blue color, they use red color for the deities. I think when the reference in the Nectar of Devotion, the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, is those particular type of colors which are worn by these kind of workers or Shudras when they do this kind of menial labor. It's not that the red color is always forbidden to use for Krishna or blue color. That is not the understanding. Now, I don't have a visual depiction of these colors that are worn, but this is, I believe it's in reference to those particular shades.
But it's saying that we devotees can't wear
Well,
red or blue in front
devotees,
of the
like
deity.
male devotees, should not wear those kind of colors, but at the same time, like for example, brahmacharis and sannyasis wear this reddish. It's called giromati. Giromati is a rock that is used to dye white cloth into this reddish, pinkish type color for sannyasis and brahmacharis. So they can wear that color. As far as for women, the saris, there in India, there's numerous different colors. There's unlimited colors they wear. Now, but as far, I've never really seen an explanation, an additional explanation from Srila Prabhupada about this. And I'm sure that if we do a little bit more research, it probably would be there. Yes, Venkat Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna. No, sorry, my question is not really related to this, but in today's verse, it mentioned 4 kinds of pious men. So I just wanted to know what the difference is between the inquisitive and he who is searching for knowledge of the absolute. It sounds kind of similar to me, but I just wanted to know the difference.
Just
Go ahead,
quickly,
Deepa.
inquisitive means you're asking questions. That's you're inquiring. Oh, what about this? What about that? So that's relating to inquisitive. And the other is one that's already after the pursuit of spiritual knowledge. So they're in search of knowledge. So Krishna is really saying, or Prabhupada's really telling us, both parties, that not just trying to ask the question, well, why am I suffering? Why don't I have money? Why do I have to die? There are a lot of people that are very concerned about death, and they're asking that question. Whereas a person that's in search of knowledge is not pursuing those topics. They're looking for an understanding of who is Krishna, what are his transcendental qualities. For example, I'm reading right now in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, in the 6th volume, about the qualities of the gopis and the qualities of Srimati Radharani. Now, for me, for all of us, we're not really qualified to, enter into this transcendental world, but we get an insight from the pure devotees what it is, and then we can move forward like that. It's giving us a deep understanding of relationship, how relationship works on the transcendental platform. In other words, the material world is diametrically opposite to the spiritual world. So on the material platform, there's all kinds of relationship, like between men and women, for example, specifically there. That's also a very interesting study. But the real relationship that exists is the transcendental relationship between Krishna and the gopis, Krishna and Radharani. So we get an understanding of the detailed aspects of that relationship, to get us a glimmer into understanding personality. Because God is a person and he has personal relationships with other people. So Venkat, that study is the pursuit of knowledge. It's a private matter, actually. It's not something that we're going to discuss with other people necessarily, but at the same time, it's something we're studying to try to get a glimmer into the eternal relationship that we can enjoy with the Supreme Personality of Godhead after we leave this gross body of material matter. So You know, I hope that helps. It's a little bit, you know.
Yeah,
Ananda
thank
Bhai,
you.
Ananda Bhai, please, you have a question.
Yes. So in that frame of mind, is it recommended that instead of going directly to the deity or the gopi or like that, that we involve Srila Prabhupada right there first? So so we're going to, if we want to offer something to Krishna or the gopis, some service, we will say, how do we address Srila Prabhupada, so that we know that, because we know we can't go directly to anybody. Prabhupada has told us that. How do we address Srila Prabhupada to tell him we want to offer this?
Okay, I remember this. You're reading the book. Who wrote it? Who gave the purport? It's Prabhupada. So really the relationship between Krishna and the gopis is coming through him. He's giving us the understanding. So we're getting, humbly, we're being allowed to understand this pastime by his mercy only. This is really the relationship. And we can take that away, that insight that we're getting, a window into the spiritual sky, we can take that away. And throughout the day, we remember we have to serve our guru, servant of the servant of the servant of the servant. And by doing that, if we continue to serve, then as we continue to study and learn from him, we'll be able to get an insight that nobody in this material world can have. That's the blessing of the pure devotee. He gives us an insight which is personal. Here's an interesting point, Mataji. We're all alone, each one of us. We may have relationships with family and friends and like that, and think, oh, I've got such a full life. I've got family and friends. But really, when you walk around your house, you're by yourself. We're always by ourselves. But if we take shelter of the transcendental relationship between our guru, Srila Prabhupada, and the insights he's giving about the journey back home, back to Godhead, we're never alone. You're never alone. And when you move step by step like that every day, moving forward like that, when you come to your last day, like Dhritarashtra did this week, Krishna and Prabhupada will be with you and they'll take you back home, back to Godhead. Remember, we're all alone, each one of us. I'm not trying to say it in a negative way. I'm just saying that's the reality of things. In Maya, we think, oh, if I surround myself with all these people, if I get all these phone calls, if I get all of this interaction with others, I'll be happy. No. It's ultimately a personal, spiritual Tesham evunu kampartam ahamagyana jantamaha. I, dwelling within the heart, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. So Krishna, from within the heart, reveals everything to us by the mercy of the spiritual master. That is the journey. So what we're going to do right now, we're at 11:23. Vinkat Prabhu, Bhaktivedanta, is going to read a pastime for us on Prabhupada Leelamrita. It's the edited version. Is that what it is? Vinkat, could you explain? I haven't seen this book before.
It's Leelamrita As It Is. I think Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu may be able to explain better because I haven't read it fully actually. So
This was compiled by a devotee in England named Mukunda, somewhat controversial devotee, but it's very well done. What he has done is present Srila Prabhupada's life in his own words, with different citations directly from Prabhupada in different letters, different books, different morning walks and different room conversations, and he present Prabhupada's exact statement describing his own life. It's a very, very nice book, without speculation, without interpretation.
Okay. Do you have a section, Prabhu, or just pick anything out of the book and read
Okay.
it for us? Go ahead.
Sure. Let me just open 1 second.
Just while we're moving forward, thank you everyone for coming to the class and being part of our presentation. Remember, the classes are being recorded and saved. As long as the internet is operating, the classes will be there. Okay, go ahead. Prabhu Vinkat, if you could please read for us.
Sure. Srila Prabhupada's childhood. A Nitya Siddha never forgets the service of the Lord. He is always engaged, even from childhood, in worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sri Narottam Das Thakur therefore sings, Gaurangera Sangi Gane Nitya Siddha Kari Mane. Every devotee should know that all the associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his family members, friends, and other associates were all Nitya Siddhas. The Nitya Siddha never forgets the service of the Lord. He is always engaged, even from childhood, in worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The name was kept Abhaya. Abhaya means there is no fear of death of this child. In my maternal uncle's house, because I was born on the Nandotsava, they kept my name Nanda Dulal. Prabhupada. Surrounded with Krishna consciousness, that was my great fortune. My father, mother, my relatives, my neighborhood, I had the opportunity mixing with everywhere there was Krishna consciousness. And they were all well-to-do, rich. This was the opportunity. Then gradually it developed. My father was a great Vaishnava. He was worshipping Radha Krishna. Our family deity was Damodar. So hereditary, we were Vaishnavas, followers of Gauran Nitai Gaura. Tamal Krishna. I think it'll be very nice if he does this book, and I'll find the right time sometimes. There will be opportunities when we can sit and I can ask these questions and you can speak about them. Prabhupada. And I had the opportunity of associating with Radha Govinda of the Maliks from childhood. We were playing there. I was seeing the deity and I questioned, here is God, like that. Atmosphere was all Krishna conscious. He was a retired pleader. He was our neighbor, so nice Vaishnava. Tamal Krishna. Was he that elderly man who would sleep sometimes when he was offering obeisances? Prabhupada. That was the atmosphere I had the opportunity to get. Very pet child. Tamal Krishna, pet child. Prabhupada. Whatever I shall want, they will supply. I was not an unwanted child for killing. Tamal Krishna. You told the story that one time, because you were accustomed to liking puris more than chapatis, and your mother didn't supply you, you ran upstairs and refused to eat. Then your father came home and became very sorry, and he made your mother cook immediately puris for you. Was that one of the Prabhupada? The name was kept Abhaya. Abhaya means there is no fear of death of this child. In my maternal uncle's house, because I was born on the Nandotsava, they kept my name Nanda Dulal. I remember when I was only about 1 year old, there was a great Sankirtan in our house, and I also joined the dancing party. If we were passing through so many stages of life from birth or from the womb of the mother, then what is the reason that one does not believe there is no life after death? Can you say, any one of you, what is the reason? You remember your boyhood body. I remember my youthhood body. So that body is no longer existing, but I am existing. I remember my childhood body. My babyhood body also, I remember particularly. When I was about 6 months old, I still remember vividly. I was lying down on the lap of my eldest sister, and she was knitting. I still remember. Yes, 6 months. I remember when I was only about 1 year old. There was a great Sankirtan in our house, and I also joined the dancing party. And I was seeing up to their knees, very small. So I remember those days. And then after that, I was a boy. I was very much fond of cycling. So many things. Yes, so many dangers, so many adventures. Now I'm an old man. So all those different stages of the body, I remember. but these bodies are not existing. Similarly, I remember or forget, but I was in different types of body. That's a fact. So similarly, after leaving this body, I will have another body. That is the natural conclusion.
Okay, thank you very much.
Nice.
So we want to thank everyone for attending the class today. It's 11:30, and we're going to move forward tomorrow with the study of Srimad Bhagavatam. We're reading all of the books progressively, and I want to encourage everybody, and I do thank everyone that is coming to the class on a regular basis for doing so, because it gives everyone else that's watching the class on different mediums an understanding of the global aspects of our preaching work, which we want to expand. And finishing up, I do want all of us to invite as many people as possible to come to the classes, whether it's through a live stream on Facebook or through the YouTube channel, or in the live stream here that we have at Prabhupada TV. This is very enlivening for us to see this going on, and part of the mission of Krishna Consciousness to share our philosophy with other people and give them a chance, like was discussed today, to take up this mission and become qualified to have the transcendental ability to understand the process of devotional service in association with the pure devotee and his disciples. Guru, Shastra, Sadhu. Well, thank you very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Vinkat, if you could grace us with the kirtan, we'll listen. And Aprakrita, thank you very much for attending the class so regularly. We really appreciate your association.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
Hare Hare. Let us offer our respectful obeisances to all the assembled devotees of the Lord.
Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo namo namah. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
See you tomorrow, everyone. All glories to Srila
Hari
Prabhupada.
bolo, Apakita, Hari bolo.
Hari
Tu vas
bolo.
bien?